The emergency beacon screamed across every communication channel in known space. Its signal was simple, brutal, and impossible to ignore. Asterisk, they killed her. The council killed Sarah Chen, age 16. Crime, existing while human. We gave you one. Warning, now pray to whatever gods you have left. Humanity is coming. Asterisk Admiral Kethver, of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet, stared at the message display with 4 of his 6 eyes. His Katona's hands trembled as he read it for the 7th time in 10 minutes. Sir, his communications officer whispered, her voice barely audible above the bridge's ambient hum. The message is broadcasting on every frequency. We can't stop. Kethver's mandibles clicked nervously. In his 300 years of service, he had never seen a transmission that could penetrate Council security protocols so completely. The humans had been gone from galactic politics for barely 2 decades, yet somehow they had just made every advanced civilization in the galaxy their unwilling audience. How many species have received this transmission, he asked. All of them, sir. Every world with communication technology. The signal is ... It's unlike anything we've encountered. As the Admiral's second in command, Commander Zatanine, approached. With mechanical precision, her synthetic voice carried an unusual tremor. Sir, our analysis indicates the transmission originated from outside the galactic rim. Deep space. The power requirements alone should be impossible for any known technology. Kethver closed all 6 eyes. 2 decades ago, humanity had been voted out of the Galactic Council. The decision had been unanimous among the other species. Humans were too aggressive, too unpredictable, too dangerous to be allowed continued participation in galactic affairs. They had been given 1 year to cease all expansion beyond their home system. The humans had complied. They had pulled back every colony ship, every research station, every diplomatic outpost. Then they had simply ... vanished. Sir, the communications officer spoke again, her voice even quieter. There's more. A new section of the message began playing. Asterisk, for 2 decades, we honored your exile. We stayed in our corner of space. We built. We grew. We waited, but you couldn't leave us alone, could you? You had to make an example. A human girl, exploring beyond Sol System in a small research vessel, unarmed, alone, curious about the galaxy. Her species was banned from ... You destroyed her ship. You executed her for the crime of being human in space you claimed we could never enter again. You broadcast her death as a warning to any humans who might dare to dream of the stars. That. Was your mistake? We are no longer the species you exiled. We are something new, something you helped create with your fear and your hatred. We gave you 1 chance to make this right, to apologize, to show mercy. You responded with silence. So now you will learn what humanity becomes when you take away our hope, when you murder our children, when you force us to evolve. The fleet is coming. Pray that your gods are listening. The message ended, leaving the bridge in absolute silence. Commander Zatanine was the first to speak. Sir, should we alert the council? Kethver's 6 eyes opened slowly. Through the main viewport, he could see the edge of council space stretching out into the darkness. Somewhere beyond that darkness, humanity was coming. Yes, he said finally. Alert the council. Tell them we need to discuss Sarah Chen. But as he gave the order, part of him wondered if it was already too late for discussion. Chapter 2. What We Became Dr. Alina Vasquez floated in the observation deck of the New Horizon, watching the galaxy spin slowly before them. Reflections stared back from the transparent aluminum older now, marked by years of work that had changed not just her, but her entire species. The fleet report's ready, Dr. Vasquez, came a voice behind her. She turned to see Captain Marcus Stone, his appearance a testament to humanity's transformation. Where once he had been limited by biological constraints, enhancement technologies now made him something more. His eyes held depths that spoke of processing capabilities beyond any natural human brain. All 12,000 ships? Alina asked. All. 12,000. The Council has no idea what's coming. Elena nodded, but her expression remained troubled. Marcus, tell me again why we couldn't find another way. The captain's enhanced features showed the slightest flicker of emotion. Reminder that despite all their advances, they were still human at their core. Because they killed Sarah, because they made it clear that no human life has value in their galaxy. Because sometimes, Elena, the only language bullies understand is force. Elena moved to the central display, which showed not just their massive fleet, but the tactical data they had gathered over 20 years of careful observation. The Galactic Council believed humanity had vanished, but they had simply learned to watch from the shadows. Show me the data on Sarah's death, she said quietly. The display shifted, showing the events of 3 months ago. A small research vessel. The explorer's dream had been conducting mineral surveys just outside Council space. Aboard was Sarah Chen, a 16-year-old prodigy who had designed the ship's new scanning array. She had been so excited to test her invention, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Just a little further, the Council patrol that found her had not bothered with warnings or negotiations. It simply opened fire, broadcasting her death across several systems as a reminder of humanity's exile. She was just a kid, Marcus said softly. She wanted to see what was out there, to learn, to explore, everything that makes us human. Elena's reflection in the display showed tears she quickly wiped away, and they murdered her for it. The Council made their choice, Marcus continued. They chose to make an example of a child now. They get to live with the consequences. The display shifted again, showing the approach routes their fleet had calculated. 12,000 ships, each one representing technologies the Council had never imagined. Humanity had not spent 20 years hiding, they had spent 20 years becoming something new. Dr. Vasquez came another voice. Elena turned to see Communications Officer Lisa Park, her neural implants glowing softly as she processed incoming data streams. We're receiving responses to our warning message. What kind of responses? Fear, mostly. The Zelanian Confederation is already mobilizing. Their defense fleets, the crystalline courts, are attempting to open diplomatic channels. The Machine Collective has gone completely silent. Elena nodded. Each species was reacting exactly as their psychological profiles had predicted. 20 years of observation had taught humanity everything they needed to know about their former allies. Any word from the Council itself? Lisa's expression grew grim. They've scheduled an emergency session. According to our intelligence assets, they're debating whether to issue an apology or to mobilize the entire galactic defense network. After murdering a child, they're debating whether to apologize, Marcus said with bitter anger. That tells us everything we need to know about their character. Lena moved back to the observation window. In the distance, she could see the first signs of their destination, the edge of Council space, where Sarah Chen had died for the crime of being curious. How long until we reach the border? 48 hours, Marcus replied. The fleet is holding formation perfectly. Elena, I need. You two know once we cross that line, there's no going back. We'll be at war with the entire galaxy. Elena was quiet for a long moment, thinking of Sarah Chen. The girl had sent her a message just days before her death, excited about her discoveries, eager to share what she had learned. That message was now stored in the memory banks of every ship in their fleet, a reminder of why they were here. They made this choice when they pulled that trigger, Elena said finally. We're just here to deliver the consequences. But even as she spoke, Elena wondered what they would find when they reached Council space. Would they find remorse? Defiance? Or would they simply find more reasons why the galaxy needed to learn what humanity had become? Chapter 3. The Council's fear. The Great Assembly of the Galactic Council had not convened an emergency session for over 50 years. Representatives from 300 species filled the massive chamber, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of sound, light, and electromagnetic pulses. At the center podium stood High Chancellor Mordok, his reptilian features showing strain despite his species' reputation for emotional control. Around him, the most powerful beings in the galaxy argued with increasing desperation. We cannot negotiate with terrorists, bellowed Ambassador Grox, his massive form shaking the floor with each emphatic gesture. The Groxian Empire had been among the most vocal supporters of humanity's exile. These humans threatened the entire galactic order. A crystalline voice chimed in opposition, literally chimed. As the Resonance Collective communicated through harmonic frequencies, the humans have legitimate grievance. Young female was terminated without due process. Council action was extreme. Grox's voice rose to dangerous levels. They were exiled, banned from council space. The patrol ship was following established protocols. High Chancellor Mordock raised a scaled hand for silence. The assembly gradually quieted, though tensions remained high. The immediate question before us is not the legality of our actions, but the practical threat we now face. Intelligence. Reports. Admiral Kethfer stepped forward, his report tablet trembling slightly in his hands. Chancellor, our deep space monitoring stations have detected an approaching fleet. 12,000 vessels, moving in perfect formation at speeds that should be impossible with known propulsion technology. A ripple of shock ran through the assembly. 12,000 ships represented more military force than most species possessed in their entire navies. How is this possible? Asked the ethereal representative of the Mistwalkers, her form barely visible, even with enhancement technologies. Humans were barely past their first interstellar expansion when exiled. Their technology was primitive. Apparently no longer, Kethfer replied grimly. Our analysis suggests they have made advances in every field of science. Their ships appear to be using some form of space-folding technology we don't recognize. Their communications can penetrate any security system we have, and their power generation. He paused, consulting his tablet. Each ship appears to be generating more energy than our largest battle stations. Ambassador Silthera of the Jade Syndicate leaned forward, her serpentine form coiling with agitation. What you describe is impossible. No species makes such advances. In mere decades, Les interrupted Dr. Vex High, the Council's chief xenobiologist, they had assistance. Or pressure, or... His artificial voice box crackled with static as he processed the implications. Or they were forced to evolve. High Chancellor Mordock's eyes narrowed. Explain. Humans are unique among known species, Vex High continued. They possess unusual adaptability and innovation when faced with existential threats. By exiling them, by forcing them to survive in isolation, we may have inadvertently triggered a period of rapid technological advancement. You're saying we made them stronger? Grox's voice was incredulous. I'm saying we gave them 20 years. To become something new with the knowledge that we considered them too dangerous to exist alongside us. What would any species do with that information? The assembly fell silent as the implications sank in. There is another matter, Admiral Kethfer said reluctantly. The human transmission included ... specifications. What kind of specifications? Technical details about their ships, their weapons, their capabilities. Not complete information, but enough to make it clear they want us to know exactly what we're facing. High Chancellor Mordock, S crest flattened against his skull, a sign of extreme stress in his species. They're trying to intimidate us, said a new voice from the assembly's upper galleries. All eyes turned to see Elder Quintaros of the Ancient Archive, one of the oldest beings in known space. His species had existed for millennia, observing the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Humans are not seeking intimidation, the Elder continued, his voice carrying the weight of ages. They are offering us a choice, submit to their judgment, or face the consequences. This is not a negotiation. It is an ultimatum.
Then we...
Fight, Grox declared. Entire galaxy against one species. The outcome is obvious, is it? Elder Quintaros asked quietly. In my long existence, I have seen many species rise to prominence through war and conquest. But I have never seen a species make such rapid technological advancement while maintaining unity of purpose. These humans are not the same beings we exiled. What are you suggesting? The Chancellor asked. I'm suggesting that we may have created our own nemesis, now that Nemesis is coming home. As if summoned by his words, every communication device in the assembly chamber activated simultaneously. The human transmission began playing again, but this time with additional footage, images of their approaching fleet, technical specifications. that made seasoned military minds tremble, and a countdown timer showing exactly when they would reach council space. 30-7 hours. 14 minutes, 23 seconds, and counting down. High Chancellor Murdoch looked around the assembly. At hundreds of species who had spent decades believing themselves secure in their collective power, now they faced a single species that had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Prepare the defense fleets, he ordered finally, all of them, and send a message to every world in council space. Tell them, I paused, searching for words that could capture the magnitude of what they faced. Tell them humanity is coming home. Chapter 4. First Contact Redux. The edge of council space shimmered with defensive preparations. 500 council warships formed a barrier across the most likely approach vectors, their weapons charged and ready. Behind them, emergency evacuations were underway on 3 border worlds. Admiral Kethver stood on the bridge of the Galactic Unity, the Council's most advanced dreadnought. Around him, officers from a dozen different species worked with grim efficiency, knowing that the next few hours would determine the fate of galactic civilization. Contact, announced the sensor operator, her forearms dancing across control surfaces with practiced precision. 12,000 ships, approaching from multiple vectors simultaneously. Impossible, muttered the tactical officer. No fleet can coordinate across such distances with that precision. But the displays showed otherwise. The human fleet was approaching not as a single mass, but as dozens of perfectly coordinated formations, each one appearing from a different direction. They had somehow surrounded the entire Council Defense Force. How did they get behind our perimeter? Kethver demanded. Sir, the communications officer said quietly, we're receiving a transmission. The main display activated, showing a human woman of middle age, her features enhanced with subtle technological modifications that somehow made her seem both more and less than human. Behind her, the bridge of her ship showed technology that defied easy classification. I am Dr. Alina Vasquez, speaking for the human species, she said, her voice carrying clearly across the tactical channel. We have arrived to discuss the murder of Sarah Chen. Admiral Kethver activated his own transmission systems. I am Admiral Kethver of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. You are in violation of the Exile Treaty. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Elena's expression didn't change. Admiral, you seem to misunderstand the situation. We are not here as supplicants or criminals. We are here as judges. The trial of the Galactic Council for the murder of Sarah Chen begins now. Trial. Kethver's mandibles clicked with agitation. By what authority? By the authority of the victim? By the authority of justice? By the authority of superior force? Lena gestured, and tactical displays throughout the Council fleet began showing detailed scans of the human ships. The readings were impossible. Power levels that exceeded Council dreadnoughts. Weapon systems of unknown configuration, defensive shields that seemed to bend space itself. You have one opportunity to surrender the patrol commander who ordered Sarah's execution and the personnel who carried it out. You have one opportunity to formally apologize to the human species for the murder of a child. You have one opportunity to make restitution for your crime. Admiral Kethver felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. And if we refuse, Lena's enhanced features showed the first hint of emotion, not anger, but something far more dangerous. Disappointment. Then you will learn why the galaxy should have left us alone. Dr. Vasquez, came a new voice over the communications channel. High Chancellor Murdoch himself was joining the conversation from the council chambers. The Galactic Council regrets the death of the human individual, but she was in violation of clearly established boundaries. Our response was proportionate to the threat. Proportionate. Lena's voice remained perfectly controlled, but every sensor on every council ship registered a sudden spike in human fleet power output. A child with a mining scanner was proportionate to execution without trial. She was warned. She was murdered. Elena's interruption cut through the Chancellor's words like a blade. And you broadcast her death as entertainment. It's a warning. As a demonstration of your power over human life, the tactical displays around Admiral Kethver suddenly shifted, showing not the human fleet, but a recording of Sarah Chen's final moments. The young girl, alone in her small research vessel, had tried to surrender when the council patrol arrived. She had broadcast her age, her peaceful intentions, her desire to cooperate. The council ships had opened fire anyway. "This is what you call justice," Alina continued as the recording played. "This is what you call proportionate response. A child begging for her life, and you pulled the trigger anyway." High Chancellor Mordoc's voice crackled over the channel. "What do you want, Justice?" "The patrol commander and his crew will surrender themselves for trial. The council will issue a formal apology to the human species. Die, and you will pay restitution for the life you took. And if we agree to these terms," Elena's expression slightly, "then we return to our space, and you never have to see us. Again, we will mourn our dead and continue building our civilization in isolation. And if we refuse..." The softness vanished from Elena's features, placed by something that made Admiral Kethfer's blood freeze in his veins. "Then we demonstrate what 20 years of enforced evolution has made us capable of. Then you learn why you should have left a peaceful species alone. Then you discover what happens when you murder our children and think there will be no consequences." Across the human fleet, weapon systems began powering up. Not the familiar energy signatures of conventional weapons, but something new. Something that made the space around each ship shimmer with barely contained power. Admiral Kethfer looked at his tactical displays, showing 500 council ships facing 12,000 human vessels. The numbers should have been meaningless. Quality over quantity. Superior training and experience against desperate revenge seekers. But the power readings from the human ships told a different story. Each human vessel was generating more destructive potential than his entire task force combined. "Chancellor," he said quietly over a private channel, "I recommend we consider their terms. You would surrender to these terrorists?" Sir Kethfer said carefully, "I would avoid the complete destruction of the Galactic Defense Fleet." On the main display, Alina Vasquez waited with inhuman patience while the Council decided the fate of galactic civilization. Behind her, Admiral Kethfer could see other humans moving with the same enhanced precision. Their modifications subtle but unmistakable evidence of what his species had forced them to become. Dr. Vasquez, High Chancellor Mordoc's voice returned. "To the channel, the Council requires time to consider your requests." Alina nodded slowly. "You have 1 hour, Chancellor. After that, we begin demonstrating the consequences of your choices." The transmission ended, leaving the Council fleet alone with their impossible situation. Admiral Kethfer stared at the human fleet, surrounding his forces, and wondered if the Galactic Council had finally made one mistake too many. Epilogue. What justice looks like 6 months after the confrontation at Council space. The hearing chamber on New Geneva Station was smaller than the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Council, but somehow it felt more significant. Representatives from 200 species sat in carefully arranged seating, while the accused stood in a simple dock at the center of the room. Commander Vextel and his patrol crew had been handed over to human justice exactly as requested. The Galactic Council's formal apology had been broadcast across known space. Restitution had been paid in the form of technological exchanges and expanded human territorial rights. But Alina Vasquez is now serving as humanity's first interstellar Justice Coordinator knew that the real victory wasn't in the courtroom. "The accused have pled guilty to the murder of Sarah Chen," she announced to the assembled representatives. "They have acknowledged that their actions were not justified by any threat she posed. They have expressed remorse for their crimes." Commander Vextel, his chitinous features showing genuine distress, spoke from the dock. "We acted according to protocol, but protocol was wrong. The child posed no threat. Her death was unnecessary." Alina nodded. "The sentence of this court is as follows. The accused will serve 10 years of community service, working with human educators to develop better first contact protocols for all species. They will help ensure that no other child of any species dies because of fear and misunderstanding." A ripple of surprise ran through the chamber. Many had expected execution or life imprisonment. Justice, Elena continued, is not about revenge. It is about ensuring that the same mistakes are not repeated. The accused will help us build a better galaxy. After the hearing, Elena stood in her office overlooking the construction yards where human and alien engineers worked side by side. On new exploration vessels, these ships would carry mixed crews, spreading the message that peaceful exploration was possible. That curiosity was not a crime. Captain Marcus Stone joined her at the window. The council representative seemed surprised by the sentence. They expected us to be as brutal as they were, Elena replied. They still don't understand that this was never about revenge. What was it about? Elena smiled, thinking of Sarah Chen and all the young explorers who would follow in her footsteps. It was about making sure that the next curious child who wants to see the stars gets to come home and tell everyone what she found. Outside the window, a new exploration vessel launched from the construction yard, its hull bearing the name Sarah Chen. Its crew was mixed humans, council species, several others who had joined the new cooperative exploration initiative. Do you think we succeeded? A. Marcus asked. Elena watched the ship disappear into the starfield, carrying hopes and dreams. 2 distant worlds where no one would be executed for the crime of curiosity. Ask me in another 20 years, she said. But I think Sarah would approve. The galaxy had learned what happened when you murdered human children and thought there would be no consequences. But more importantly, it had learned what humanity became when forced to evolve, when driven by loss to become something greater than they had been before. They had become judges, teachers, builders of a better tomorrow, and the stars themselves seemed brighter for it.